According to your will, we pray for Christ's sake.
Amen. Amen. So far we've been really looking at the patterns of communications in families and the challenges that people experience. And today we're going to continue our discussion on how to avoid the toxic patterns of communication. So let's talk. I really want your participation. I know we've started a little late, but please, join us and share the link. Now, I think one of the big challenges in relationship is how people communicate, what they say and how they say it. I know communication is a big, is a complex issue, but just for tonight, it's about really how people say things, especially when there's a misgiving, a misunderstanding, or somebody has done something that is rubbing hard against what the spouse against what the spouse had expected. So the issue is, how do you manage things when something is said or something is done that you feel should not be done? How do you speak to the other person? Okay, or when that person has failed your expectations, how do you communicate? I think it is these issues that are the big problem, not so much the issue, because many of these issues happen to families that are intact. It is to a large degree how the situation is dealt with that is the big problem. So we'll talk about how to avoid it. I think maybe I can start with the first thing. When your spouse complains about something, make it a cardinal rule not, to underestimate, not to lightly regard, and do not attack what the person has said. Do not craft, a rebuttal and attack the person or try to defend yourself. I think this is a big problem. Um, it is these kinds of back and forth that creates a toxic environment in the relationship that really hurts it. What Dr. Gottman refers to as the four horsemen. That is, people, instead of learning how to complain, criticize instead, make judgmental statement. The other person who is on the receiving end tries to defend himself or herself, or hurls an attack in return, and then the other person feels attacked, and then they react. They can call names, they can insult, they can say a number of things that they ought not to say until they reach the stonewalling stage of the relationship.
But there are times when things happen in the home and one person just wouldn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
You voice your opinion, you made your criticism, you done all the maybe negative things, and the other person just allow it to go by. And there are times when you would say what has happened in a positive way, and yet still you will not get a response from that individual. What do you do, or how do you handle that?
I think it is important to understand your spouse. Okay, some persons don't speak, or sometimes you try to draw the situation to the person, draw the matter to the person's attention, and the person doesn't respond. I think you have to look at a few things. We always say when people don't do what they have to do, there's always a reason why it doesn't happen. So you may want to try and ask your spouse, what is the issue? Okay. Um, you may also have to look at what time that you are saying something. Are you drawing something to the person's attention in the throe of emotions? Are you already upset? And then you're trying to draw the person's attention to it. That can interfere with the person's desire to respond to you or the attitude towards what you have said. So I think it is very important to get the person's permission, okay, and let the person know that there is something that is affecting you that you would like to talk to, and get the person's permission. When can we talk about that situation? Now, there are some persons that even after you have said that, they believe that it is a small matter that is before us, and why you want to make a big issue out of that. I think that is where you need professional help, because the person is not understanding the situation. And getting professional help will help you cross that bridge and help your spouse cross the bridge. And if your spouse is not willing to seek for counseling, then you seek for counseling so that you can know how to deal with that situation. But I think in things like that, sometimes general education of spouses and couples might go a long way in helping you solve some of these problems. So anytime you have seminars for couples, take an opportunity to go. You might learn something together that will change the context of your relationship.
The key point in any problem in a home is not what is said, but how it is said.
Mhm.
If it is said in a polite way or a way to really investigate in a gentle way, very often you will be able to solve the problem or come to a conclusion. But whenever there is a situation in the home, very often the way things are said is in a manner to really either make the person look insignificant or find they're foolish, or, I mean, they did not have common sense to know how to do this. And whenever you begin to speak in that kind of manner, it affects the other person's emotion. And very often, the emotion will outride the reasoning, and the person will answer in like coin.
Or don't answer you at all.
Or maybe ignore you, and even ignoring you at that moment when you are hoping to get a response may even trigger further anger in the person who has started the communication badly. So we need to be so careful sometimes. If we are to enjoy our relationship in the home, we need to be so deliberate about how we say things, where we say things, and when we say things to each other.
Yes, I think a notable example, maybe I don't know if I can share that off my head, and I saw questions and we would want to answer it. An example is, let us say if, okay, let me put it this way. Let us say if you ask me to cut the branch that is overhanging on the roof, and then I know you have asked me that, I said, okay, I'll do it. But but I've not done it. It's 2 weeks since I have not done it. Other persons have asked me to come and do things for them, and I've gone out and do the things for these individuals, but I've not done. If you are upset, okay, at that, sometimes how you might approach it might not be the best. For example, somebody could say, I asked you to cut the tree branch that is leaning on the roof, and you have not done it. But other people have asked you to come and do something for them, and you have gone like a fool to do it, but yours is left behind. Okay, one of these days, you will lead me, but you will not find me. So if you tell me that, now, although your complaint might be legitimate that I have not cut the branch, but how you said that day, this is sending a lot of signals, and very often the negative vibe that is coming through might trigger me. And if I do not know how to manage my impulses and my, and manage my internal ecology, I might respond to what I think that you are saying, and the way it might come out might not be good.
That's what I'm saying. We need to be deliberate about what we are doing, how we are communicating. So, to me, if I know that what the other individual is saying is true, I really have not done it. It's true I'm not a fool because you say I went to do it foolishly to do it, to do other person's limit. I know I'm not a fool, but in the same breath, you understand that this other person on the other end is hurting. And so to avoid the conflict, you should not respond in like manner.
Mm-hmm.
You should not, because that's where the trouble will really begin. Part of what the first individual said is true. The way it is said is not good. So you now, if you want to avoid the conflict in your home, you take a second approach. You take another approach. So you might do something like that. Either you ignore that conversation because you know you were wrong and you know you should have and could have done it before, but you did not do it. So that blame is really yours for true. So you don't answer, and maybe you go and cut the branch, you know? And then the whole problem will be solved.
Not really.
After
Yeah.
everything is finished, the other person is now satisfied that the branch is cut. You now can bring up that same conversation. You know, when you said so and so and so to me, you know, you did not say it in the right way. I think it's true I had not cut the branch, but it's just the way you said it. It was not sounding good. I would prefer you not to tell it to me like that. So, right there, you address the problem. You did not sweep it under the carpet, but you did not take it up at the same time when the other person is already angry. And you know, part what the person has said there is true, partly true, and partly false.
Yeah, well, again, I think that's a nice way to do it, but also I think that has a lot to do with whether that's a pattern that the person has been following or not. If the person has been doing that several times, you may, the way that you deal with it, you might ignore the person, but the ignoring of the person will send a strong message. The way you will ignore and how you're going to relate will send a strong message that this is unacceptable. Okay, so because it's very important to, the way you respond is very important, but I don't think, while it is important to de-escalate, but it is important not to allow a negative pattern of communication to persist, okay, especially if that has been drawn to the person's attention. As I said, if that is the first time, or maybe, yeah, that might work. If that is a repeated pattern, you may have to address that slightly different. You might have to give a response, or you might ignore, but the way you ignore will send a strong message, because silence is also a strong message. Okay, and not reacting to what the person is backing at you to do is also another strong message. You can address the thing, but not necessarily at the time. Okay, but I think at the end of the day, you can, as I said, if it is just a first time, you will address the situation, do what you have to do and address it. If it is a repeated pattern, you will have to deal with the situation differently. Okay, but somebody was asking that question. Let me see if we can answer that first question. It says, what if it is a complaint that is based on a misunderstanding? Should you not correct the complaint? I don't think it is wise when a person is hurling an accusation against you. Although I'm hearing you talking about a complaint will be basically stating the fact, but a criticism will have elements in it that is judgmental or an attack on your character. But I assume complaint in that instance here might mean more of a criticism than just the mentioning of something that has happened. So if it is that, then what I would say is do not try to correct a problem on the go. It's maybe not the best thing to do because the environment is too charged for it. You always have to try and de-escalate and do not try to complain or correct on the way because the person whom you are trying to correct will feel that you are not understanding them, that you're not listening to their pain and their complaints, and so you will miss it. Just do not respond on that. Validate the person's feeling. Okay, I notice you're upset, or I notice this thing has offended you. Show that you have seen the feeling, show you have understood the feeling, and respond in a better way rather than attacking the situation. You'll go a long way in correcting it that way. Okay, that's very lovely. Another question is stonewalling refusing to communicate or engaging emotionally for an extended um, period, for an extended toxic period? Well, stonewalling is the point that you reach in the relationship where you tell yourself nothing is actually working, it's not going to work, and then you begin to shut yourself down. So it comes when the communication has been toxic, yes, for a protracted period of time. Yes. Okay. Yeah, it does happen. Yeah, it happens when the person is continuing the same things unabated. So it pushes you to that point, and then you just tell yourself, this is not going to work. Hopelessness can step in. I've tried this. This is not going to work. This relationship not going to work. I better get out of it. That's when we call that's the decision making period, when you decide that you don't want that thing anymore. Okay, but most times if you go and seek for professional help, you might not get there. Most persons get there because they do not seek professional help. And I always say, if you have a cold, you have a flu, you have tried the few of the herbal medicine, it's not working. You need to go for a boost, see the physician, and then try to address the situation. If you don't, it might get bad, and then it might end up becoming pneumonia or other complications, that might cost you your life.
Another question.
Okay, all right, thanks, lovely. Another question is, okay, my husband comes home from work late every day. I am feeling emotionally, okay, let me see a little bit more of this. Okay, my husband comes from home from work late every day. I am feeling emotionally starved and suspicious that he's having an affair. Okay, how should I communicate that without accusing him? I think this is an excellent question.
But remember, it's a suspicion.
Okay, yes. Do not bring in a suspicion. Okay, do not attack the person and tell them, I think you have a relationship. Just stick with the thing that is causing the problem first. Okay, what is the problem? You're feeling
Emotionally.
right. So let the sit get the person's permission. Okay, that you have something that you want to address and you'd like to talk to them about it. When you get that moment to talk about it, please start by talking about the positive things about the relationship. Make sure you can get at least 5 positive things to talk about, and then draw that thing to the person's attention and let them know how it is affecting you. Okay? And let me tell the husbands, When your wife is complaining about something that is affecting them, don't try to defend yourself and do not give them excuses as to why you are not doing what they are asking you to do. Recognize that it is a cry for help, a cry for attention. Apologize instead and try to see how you can address the problem by trying to tell the individual that, by trying to make a good reason or presenting a good reason why you are not doing what you're doing. It's clearly putting the person in a worse state. Okay? It's putting the person in a worse state. Because I'm complaining to you, I'm telling you something is affecting me, and instead of you trying to be sensitive to what I'm telling you and trying to address it, you're trying to make it appear that I have a problem, okay, by presenting a situation to you. This is insensitive. Men, this is insensitive, this is callous, and almost wicked. If a person is telling you, you are stepping on my foot, it is hurting me, you cannot tell the person that they should have had a shoe. It's not right. You apologize, and then you try to attend to the injury that may have been caused by stepping on the person's foot, and try to see how you can prevent a thing like that from happening. Trying to defend yourself is unacceptable. It is a sense of being insensitive to the other person, because if it were on the other shoe, or you say that if the shoe was on your foot, okay, you would have realized that it is not as simple as you making it appear. So, gentlemen, please don't do that. Listen to the complaint of your spouse and act immediately. Try to see eye to eye, apologize, and try to address the situation.
Okay, still speaking as it's relating to the question that was asked a while ago. When you have a suspicion, you have no facts. And if you are going to address a situation, you cannot bring in suspicion. You need to be able to hammer the nail if you are going to talk about the nail. So, for instance, if you are saying that you have a suspicion that your husband is maybe seeing somebody else, you don't have the facts about that, you don't bring that up. Because that will spark trouble, especially if you see if it's not even true. And if it is true now, that person will come in a line of defense. So it creates a problem. When you have all your facts, let's say, for example, it is true that what you were thinking about or what you suspected, you now have proof that this is true. Then you can talk about it.
Yeah, you have to put yourself out to get the proof as well.
Too often, we bring in situations in our relationship that is nowhere existing.
Or prematurely.
And it creates a problem. Or you may bring it in prematurely. You do not have the evidence. What you are thinking about is really happening for true, but you don't have the evidence. Like they say, a woman has 6 and 7 senses. So you kind of sensing something is happening. But you are not sure. You cannot pinpoint that thing exactly what it is, who it is, when it is happening. But you can, so all you have to do is to be on the lookout. Try to find proof. Try to be sure that what you are thinking about is true. And if you cannot find truth, don't create something to make it truth, because it will get worse than you think.
Yeah, I think you said it well. But you can look for evidence if you want to get it. You can pray about it and also ask God to help you, because sometimes some people will not stop until you can confront them with the facts. So you do have to sometimes put yourself out to get evidence if you believe that the suspicion is strong and that it may be happening. Because there are a lot of things that will share with that will make you see something is happening, the way you're being treated, the way the person is relating to the other members of the family, giving reasons why they are doing what they are doing, and not making any attempt to correct the situation. So there are a lot of issues, okay, that will show you that the suspicion is strong. But you would need to put yourself out to get more evidence to deal with the situation. But also be be careful how you handle information when you have it as well.
Okay, I want you to answer this question first before we go to the second one. Although I think the second one is in relationship to what was said before.
Mhm.
Is stonewalling toxic?
Yes, it is toxic. It is toxic. For that matter, you should not wait to get there, because to me, stonewalling is the last stage. Yes, it's the last stage of a relationship that has been toxic, and so don't wait to get right there. You have to address it early. As I said, get each other's permission to talk, seek professional help, especially if the person is starting to insult you and to say things that are degrading. Get professional help for yourself, and the counselor generally might be able to weave his or her way around the situation to get your spouse to come in, or to show you how to deal with the spouse.
Okay, so now that we've answered this question, there is another question. It says that I'm a very direct communicator. That means whatever is on my mind, I say it as is, whatever is on my mind. I feel that I can avoid further complication that way. However, it seems that it causes more offense. And that's true, I think it will. Mm-hmm. How can I communicate my concerns directly?
Okay, yeah. Sometimes what you call in direct communication is just venting and just sharing what is on your mind and telling the person as you see it. That's not a nice way to communicate. Um, it would be better to to raise matters that you have concern with in your family time, or you should have at least a family day when you need to evaluate your relationship and to praise what is going good and to try to address the things that are not as good as it should. Most times when we vent out at a time when we are upset. The way we say the things, it feels accusing. It sounds more accusing. It is accusatory, right? Okay, it feels like a more attack on the other individual than anything else. Mm-hmm. So that kind of communication is not good, because it is more or less a kind of, you may not realize it, but it is a kind of emotional abuse or verbal abuse. So just because you feel something, that you just blast it out, and it might be so far from the truth, or it may not be anywhere near what the person is thinking, what the person intended to communicate, or nowhere close to your own suspicion. It is better to raise questions, ask people questions about what you're feeling, than making straight statements. For example, if I am waiting for my wife by at a shop, and we agreed that she's going to come and pick me up at 4, she has the vehicle and she is now returned at 6. She didn't call me to tell me that she was caught up in traffic or whatever. We don't have 2 hours traffic anyway. But let us say she didn't call me to tell me anything. I could be very upset, okay, on the receiving end. If when she comes, I just give her a piece of my mind, I might vent out. I might be sharing my pains and how I feel about the situation, but I have not tried to find out why my wife was not able to pick me up and why she didn't call me. It would be better to ask questions, okay, rather than to blast out. It is better to ask questions than to blast out. And if you're going to speak, there's a nice formula I like to share with people, the speaking rules. You state what the problem is, you state how the problem makes you feel, you state how you think the problem could be resolved without blasting out. If you cannot handle your feelings, if you are upset, if you are disturbed, try not to vent out. It is not going to come out well.
Okay. I'm speaking as it relates to the question again. That person, they feel they can say whatever is on their mind just the way they think about it. I think you need to reverse the process. If you were in the individual's place to whom you were speaking, and they were to say exactly what you said to you, they are saying it to you. You saying it to them, what's on your mind. Now, we are reversing it. Whatever is on their mind, they're saying it to you in whatever emotional
State
they are in, and the tone of voice will come with it, and
the volume, the mood,
the mood will come through, the volume would come through,
how you
and
feel about the
attitude
relation,
and non-verbals and verbals coming through. Just think about the way it is being said. And you will see in yourself that what you are doing is not the correct thing. And that is why it is creating a problem. It creates more problem than solving the problem. What you would not like one to do to you, you should not do it to another. Mm-hmm. And that is why it is important that very early on the onset of your relationship, that you assign or set aside time for family. And on that family day and time and hour which you set, you talk about the good, the beautiful, the nice, and the ugly. If you make it a habit, you would realize you'd be able to solve so many problems at that time without persons getting emotionally charged with anger. Because that is where you discuss it. You do it with your children. So during the week, things have happened, and you must have said and done things to them. That family day is the day when they can say to you, Mommy, you maybe hurled at me during last week for a particular reason, and you never gave me an opportunity to explain to you, but I want to explain to you. And it is at that moment that child is going to explain to you. And sometime after you heard the explanation, you would realize that what you did to them was wrong.
And you should apologize.
And then, whenever you notice that, you should apologize. You are doing two things. One, you are teaching your child to be apologetic when they should. And two, to be open and frank about things that's affecting them and not affecting them. Secondly, it is for the husband and the wife to be able to air to each other. What are some of the things you did to me during the past week? Because you have a day. You have a family hour, or half day, whatever time you set aside. Last week you realized that, I was really not up to it. Maybe I was like close up. I wasn't saying anything. And these were some of the things that affected me. And you air your concern. At that moment, the other person will be more willing to listen. And then they too can give you the explanation why it was done. Whoever is in the wrong should be able to put away pride and say that you are sorry. You should be able to do that. Once you are able to do that on a weekly basis, you would realize that your problems in the home will not pile up. You will not have a whole bucket of things to throw at someone, because I'll wait for you on Sunday. I'll tell you. You think I will not tell you? I will tell you exactly what. You see all what you're saying there? I have nothing to say now. You're saying that in your mind. You're not even airing that. Because you know on Sunday or whatever day you put, Saturday night, Friday night, whatever, that you are going to discuss that thing in an amicable way. If you can do that for your family, I think you'd be doing it would be a world of difference in your family. So try it, agree upon it, and just give it a try. And you would realize that not just speaking your mind or what's on your mind or being frank or being this kind of, when we feel too comfortable with our partner, we say anything. And what's on our mind, we'll tell them. If we want to call them nasty, we call them nasty and we don't care. So we need to be careful that these things can rub against the other person, and very soon you can be a world apart, and your relationship will fall through the crack.
Yeah.
So you have to try not.
Yeah, okay. There's another question. I'm happy for this one. It says, for example, I told my husband several times to use the laundry, okay, to use the laundry well, I guess to put the laundry into the basket. Mm-hmm. But I keep getting it on the floor. What should I do? Okay, what should I say? Again, boy, how did this gentleman say that again? You have to pick your fights. You have to know what to quarrel over, what to be concerned about, and what not to be concerned about. Some things are petty and they don't need a war. However, I'll tell you what I have done and what has worked for me, what has worked for some. Okay, now during the adjustment stage of our relationship, we had quite a bit of these things. I guess for me, I dropped my socks anywhere because when I was home, I drop my socks anywhere. My mother passes, picks it up, puts it in a basket and wash. I drop my underwear anywhere. I didn't wash my underwear after, I was in the bathroom and I hang it and put it there. Okay, so that used to piss my wife off because she doesn't feel that she has to pass behind me, pick up my socks, pick up my underwear. So she drew it to my attention. We put a laundry basket in the bathroom so that I could put it in. She she practiced what she told me. She would wash her own underwear, put to dry before it goes back into the laundry. So, as I started seeing, it took a little while. Um, I started practicing what I saw. So sometimes when you speak about that, you don't, when you sit on the ground, you'll get upset. Do not quarrel over it. It's not going to work. The man will not listen to you when you are quarreling, and he's not going to do anything about it. Why? Because the man's ego is in play. I am not saying it is right. I'm just telling you what normally doesn't work. Um, he will feel that you are trying to rule him and tell him how to live his life. You see how they interpreting it? It's not correct, but these are some of the things that happen, and so he'll show you he's not going to do it. If you think it is when you quarrel with me that you'll get things happen, if you'll get things happening or things will change, it's not going to, because I'm not going to give you the I'll not give you the habit of trying to get at me for you to get things done. So I'm not going to do it. So there are a lot of things that can happen in a man's mind, because when you criticize a man and you attack him, he sees it as inadequacy, as you trying to change him, as you trying to tell him what to do. You're treating him like a boy. So there are a lot of things that go in the head of a man that doesn't go into the head of a lady. She might feel that is her way of trying to correct you, but it does not work that way for a man. Put structure in place. You tell the person, you hold them accountable. Sometimes you have to leave it there, okay? And don't say anything. You have to leave it there. Let the person get the message They have to come to the point where they discover what is happening is not working. All right? If it means that all his underwears will remain there for a period of time before it is washed, he will get the lesson. He will learn, he will get it. And you don't have to quarrel. You just have to let him know in a polite way. We have been talking about these things for a while. It is time that this thing be addressed and you get this thing fixed. It is not good. Sit down and explain why it is not the best practice until the person gets it. But I think trying to quarrel on the spot when you see it, it will hurt you. It will not bother the person too much.
Okay, I will answer the question, but I'll allow my husband to say good night to some of our friends. And just while he's saying good night to you, I want you to like the page, subscribe. Those of you on YouTube or whatever platform you are on, I need you to share the link as well, because these are information. Different homes have different settings, different problems, but as we discuss the various problems, you realize some might be applicable to you, some of them are not, but it might be to your friend or to somebody else. So you need to share the link now, like the page, please, as he just say good night to.
Yes, I just want to say, it was nice having you, Andrea. We're almost out of time, but Andrea Vida, Beverly Alexander, Bev, great having you. Rakim Poleon, Jeffrey Regis, Derek Noel, Kalina Clovis, Macrina Butcher, Macrina, that name is a little new, so I want to say it is a joy having you, and I hope that what you receive will spark better interest. Okay, Kenya, Bartholomew, Martha Monrose, Wayne, Edme, Amanda Ford, and many others. We just wish to say thank you, and please, if what you heard benefit you, share it as well.
Okay, so let me give a quick response to the question that was asked before. Now, you would realize the format I gave you a while ago, where you would have your family day where you can discuss, that would be a good way of addressing problems like these. But you must also remember that you have married someone whose culture different from you. Now, if you listen to the example that my husband used, you would realize that we were brought up differently. And too often, as parents, we allow boys to live and to do things how they want. And we, as mothers, we go around and we fix for them. And this is the same habit that they take to their home. So if you marry someone who has certain behavioral traits or characteristics that you do not like, you need to be sensitive to the upbringing on them. And you need to be able to work these things in a proper way so that it does not become offensive to create another problem in your home. So you have to address the problem in a good way. Your family day is another good day where you can sit and you say, remember, we have spoken about this thing and I have bought a basket. These were the weeks before we spoke about it. We say you need to put it one place. Maybe we did not have the money for the basket yet. Now we have the basket. On the family day, you say the basket is there and you give the reasons for the basket and the use of the basket. And you are looking forward for the cooperation of the family. So it's not just for one person, but it's for everybody. Whether they be children or adults, you inform why the basket is there and the use of the basket. And you look forward for the cooperation. That's not offensive, but yet still you have tackled the problem. Now, the individual, once they understand, would more likely, I'm not saying all the time it will happen, because a habit is difficult to break, but you would find the correction being done gradually. Changes will take place in you, and remember that there are things that you are doing that is offensive to your partner as well. It might not be the dropping of the clothes. It might be something else.
Dishes.
That other person, or you may be lying late in bed, different things, and things that they're to be done, and you do it lazily. There are problems that you too may have that is offensive to your partner. And it is at that meeting your partner can address it better. Some of the problems you allow the children to go out after you have dealt with them and you have discussed, and then you stay, you discuss other matters you think that is important for only you and your husband to discuss, but you do it on that very day. I can tell you it works. You need to set aside a day for that. Maybe not an entire day, but set aside time when you and your family can discuss things that have been really good and things that have not been so good. You will see reward and you will see how much problems you'll be able to solve in your family.
In fact, I'm glad you said this because I find that works for me, especially when you're dealing with hardened individuals and persons that are considered incorrigible. You praise them for the good things that they do more than join their attentions to the negative things. And the more you praise for good things, is the more likely you will get them to change the things that are negative. So it is something to bear in mind. Okay, but let's take this last one, okay, because we are out of time. I'm only seeing a part of it, but it says that I feel that I have been enduring. That is, I have been patient when my husband is busy. I manage the children, okay, 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and the house and work. Yet I feel like when I ask for help, I am asked to be further um,
Further understanding.
okay, but I think the important thing here is that you seem to be doing all of the work and it is frustrating you, and you have drawn it to the person's attention and you're not getting the kind of help that you really need. Okay, again, yes, I think again, these are some of the things that we are saying to you. What time you're correcting it? Is it the time when you feel frustrated and then you are blasting out and then you are shouting and telling the person that this is, I've been asking you for help and you're not helping me. What time are you saying it and how you are saying it? That is where again, meeting in the family environment and praising the good things and drawing the person's attention to the negative things that is happening is better than for you to be fussing and complaining when you see the things that are not right are being done. You will get greater cooperation when you sit to discuss matters in a non-threatening environment, in a non-condemning environment. You'll get greater compliance. I can tell you it has worked. The other thing that I find that works when couples come to me with those kinds of problems is that I encourage them to set a structure. Okay, set a structure. What There are different structures you can set. Here's one of a creative one my wife came up with. They were about what at that time 5 of us, right? Um, okay, 3 children, 2 adults. Well, okay, well, I can't even say 3 children. At the time when you introduced that, everybody was already big, right? So what she says is, she said, you know what? I think I'm getting extremely tired and worried about having to do a number of things. Let's put a structure in place, okay? You decide what works for you. Do you want every week for us to have a rotation? 1 week you all cook, um, and the person who does, one person will do the cooking, the other person will do the cleaning, and another person is going to,
You share the house.
right, yes. So everybody had a week to participate. In that way, you know, everybody shared in the load. Now, of course, I notice you have small children there. It's not too, the children are not too small to ask them to do certain things. All right. Putting their toys away, engage everybody in a share of the activities and be age sensitive, but let everybody participate in things. That's one of the ways to do it. Now, it may not work, it may not be clockwork because sometimes somebody might be, what should I say, overwhelmed with something, but they will ask you permission to help them. Sometimes you might pick up that your husband is overly engaged and may not be able to do so, but he has to request the help. So in that way, you get more things done than if you keep feeling flustered and frustrated that you alone have to carry all the burdens of the home. Sit and discuss the things. You will go a bit and invite people to participate and to share in the responsibility. One of the last thing I want to say, what I've found out too is if you expect the children to do things, they might do it in their own time and it will frustrate you too. You say to wash the dishes, they tell you, okay, I'll wash the dishes. But all 10 o'clock on a Sunday, they have not left the bed to come and wash the dishes yet. And you get frustrated. So you have to set a pattern and a timing and let everybody agree on those things so that this business of doing things when you want may not work. There are times when one or two things like that might happen, but it should not be a pattern in the home. Set time and structure for things and you'll get it done.
Another thing you can do, there are things that one person prefer doing rather than another thing. So you share the load. So for example, if your husband is one who likes to do the ironing, I'm just using an example, it might not be, then you share the load. So you do the washing, he would do the ironing. But too often, we as ladies, when we get married, I don't know if it's we want to show our husbands that we can do everything or we can manage a home and we don't need their help. We find ourselves doing everything for them. And then we create a mold that we fit them in. Now, when we are settled, everything is all fixed. The mold is fixed. We now realize that we really need help, but we have given them a bad habit. We cook for them, we wash for them, we iron for them, we do everything. No help. We do everything. From the onset, you all are helpmates. That's what you are. You come together as helpmates. So one person might be better on the cooking, the other person might do the cleaning. One person might be better on the washing, the other one would do the ironing. And you don't allow it to go that way all the time. You swap. So that at the end, both persons become very good at the task. Because if you get sick, don't tell me your wife gets sick now, and then your husband have to go and call for help next day. He does not know what to do. He don't know how to cook, take care of the house, do those things. No, he should be able to do that.
Even though
And
he
if
doesn't like it.
anything, it happened otherwise, there is nothing you have to try to speak to tell him. He knows what to do. But we as ladies, we like to be able to do everything and just allow the men to sit and watch TV or on their phone talking or outside liming. No, we are helpmeet. That's what the Bible says. When we come together as one, we are helpmeet to each other. We are there to help each other in whatever the situation. So your husband has an exam and he has things to do. He must finish by a certain date. You step in and do the things that he was supposed to do. No problem. So today you are busy and there are other things you have to do. He just step in and he does it. No problem. We need to be able to break that chain. We set a mold for the men that is not a good mold. I have boys, and every boy had to learn how to do everything. When your wife is sick, I might be dead. I will not be the one to run and do it for you. Yes, if I'm alive, I will help you, but I might not be there. You need to be able to assist in whatever way. There is no work assigned to just ladies and work assigned to just men, you know. The work is the work of the home. And that is why we need to be able to work together as a team to get it done. So again, the family day is one of those moments that you can address situations like these so that the person can understand the weight that you're carrying all alone. It's a lot, especially when the children are young. So it is important that you have your sit down, you talk, you discuss. You thank the person for whatever they're doing. They might be the only one working outside to bring in an income. You thank them for the effort and you appreciate that effort. You understand me? But at the same time, you are working at home too. You're not just sitting home, you're working at home. And so that other person needs to be able to appreciate and to be able to assist you whenever it is necessary. So we've run out of time tonight. I think the discussion is a very good one. We may have to pick it up next Monday when we come back so that we can address those situations and bring solution to some of the homes that may be experiencing problems like this.
Yes, so let me say again, thank you for being here with us, Claudia Scarlett. And I saw Odelia Premdas. Yes, we just want to say thank you for being here with us. We'll pick up next time, as my wife intimated, and then we will talk to some other issues. So let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you for the time we spent, the questions that ensued, and I pray, dear Lord, that the interaction here will continue, and I ask that the things that we have learned, that it will help that we shared here would have encouraged learning, and that we will have better families as a result. Please bless our families. Families are having challenges. Show them creative ways to resolve it. And in the end, save families and may they become strong and resilient. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Well, we want to say good night at this time. It was nice having you with us. We are happy tonight. We had a conversation. Persons were responding and asking questions, and we are very grateful for that. So we look forward to seeing you next Monday night at 8 o'clock. Good night to everyone, and God bless.